This is MJ. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an analyzer. Find all my work at mjmunoz.com. Welcome to Swinging Through Comics. Visit mjmunoz.com/STC for notes and links. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment to help me grow. So, in this episode of Swinging Through Comics, issue 60, episode 60, I'm talking about issue number 1 of Black Radiant. Or is it Radiant Black? I keep forgetting. Anyway, it's from Image Comics. It's written by KYLE Higgins of the Ultraman, Rise of Ultraman series. And I believe he's also involved with the ongoing Trials of Ultraman, which will be starting next month. But in between the end of one Ultraman series and the beginning of another that he's involved in, we've got this project here of his own Tokusatsu inspired, Power Rangers inspired, whatever, superhero. And I gotta say, I was really hyped up looking forward to this, and I'm not gonna say I'm disappointed, but I am gonna say positive things as well as negative things. So Radiant Black sees I think he just turned 30, maybe it's 33, anyway, I think he just turned 30. This guy, whose name I can't remember, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. They weren't calling out his name every few pages. His friend Marshall, I know his name, but other than that, I don't know the parents' names or anything like that, but that's okay. So, writer dude who becomes Radiant Black, he is... interesting. He is a failed writer. He's moving in back home with his parents. He's lied to them all about everything, and there's almost no action in this issue. There's like a surprise sort of thing that happens after he gets this power, gets this suit, whatnot. And it's interesting because while there wasn't like a fight, a villain of the week, a monster, a crisis, even a rescue or some sort of real dangerous situation, it was still interesting. Like, it's a good looking suit. It's drawn well. And, besides that, there's personal life or personal drama going on with this guy. And I really liked the fact that his biggest problem was he went away to LA from his, small town in Illinois, and he didn't make it. He failed to make it, and the truth is he hardly even tried. And that's what really gets him, is that he hardly tried to do anything, especially given the fact that he had ambitions of being a writer for his entire life. And it's funny because that feels I feel that, and funnily enough, based on how I think Higgins and I are the same age, and this writer character in Radiant Black is a couple of years younger, and it's just funny that he is writing about a writer, and it feels a little a little meta-narrative-y to me. You're supposed to write what you know, right? But it almost feels like how there was the weird father and son drama in the J.J. Abrams Spider-Man Bloodline, J.J. and Henry Abrams Spider-Man Bloodline. It almost feels like, maybe letting a little bit too much of your personal life creep in on what you're writing. And I don't know, that seemed a little off to me. He's not he felt like a very sympathetic character. This was interesting. So the main dude, can't remember his name again, sorry. He felt very sympathetic in the beginning because he's under crushing debt. He's very upset about it, and he's trying to get a loan to try to, in one last ditch effort to fix that problem. And when he fails to, the next thing we see is he's going back home. But then at the end, he slowly reveals to Marshall what's happening. He gives him all these details, but then not until after he's gotten the power and they've almost faced death does he reveal to his friend Marshall what the truth of the matter is, which is that he didn't even try. And that comes as a crushing, it's a crushing blow, whatever. But the point is, he's saying, like, well, now that I have this power, maybe, this is something I have to try with. I have to prove myself to myself, sort of. And it's kind of because it fell in his lap that he feels so committed to it, or committed to doing something special with this power. And I don't know, it just seems kind of, that's an interesting arc. I almost thought because of the fraught conversation they were having, the face he was making, that maybe he was, and he had like made some harsh comment to Marshall before about him screwing everything up. But then, maybe he was projecting because, he was a screw up because he didn't even try, right? But then it's kind of funny just how I thought maybe he was going to say, like, with this power now, I'm not going to screw things up and, like, I'm going to get rid of people like you. That didn't end up happening. But we did get a setup at the very end that, like, okay, so maybe he is going to do something good with this power. Because I think it's, if I'm recalling correctly, he's basically telling Marshall it's like, it's almost scary how much power he has, or he can feel. And Marshall's like, hey, man, I'm not going to let you, do anything bad. And, but maybe this is going to be a good thing all around. You can do some good with it, and it could even help your writing because, you're unique and you're supposed to write what you know, or pull from your life experiences or whatever. And, you're totally the only one who has this. Then we get a little lead into the fact that there's a radiant red. Given the Tokusatsu and Super Sentai naming conventions, it makes sense that these guys would be radiant, so they would have the radiant power. And the fact that he's black, and the book is called Radiant Black, and there's a red guy, it makes sense that he's Radiant Red. Anyway, that just kind of tickles me to have figured that out, so to speak. But anyway, I don't know. It's interesting that the dangerous situation they got into was, so I guess to put a cap on all that, the emotion felt very real. It felt very authentic. And it was interesting that he's like not a goody two shoes. Like, he's not a successful author. He's a failed author, and he's got a lot of shame. And he there's this point that he makes that, like, I didn't ask for anybody's help. I didn't ask for anybody's help when I was in LA, and I'm not asking for my parents' help now. They can't afford it, and I'm not going to do that. So, like, he has a sense of right and wrong, a sense of pride, but not in the negative sense. So that's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how he does that, because he tells the person on the phone from the bank, like, hey, if I had more money, I could get a loan, but I need the loan to try to help me, like, even things out. And they're like, well, but if you had more money, if your debt to income ratio was lower. And he's like, well, if it was lower, I wouldn't be asking for help. So maybe he only asked for help in that desperate situation, and he's a kind of person who wants to be self-reliant. And I don't know, it'll be interesting to see, will that have any effect on him helping people who, might need his superhero power to intervene in it. I don't know. It's kind of interesting because it makes me think, and I'm interested to see what's going on in the rest of the series, but I'm not, like, hooked. This wasn't a huge success for me, but I am intrigued, and I'm definitely going to give it a shot, or give it a second shot, because of the success of Rise of Ultraman and how good that was. So I guess that's a summation of my review, or my analysis of this. But there was something else I wanted to say. It was just on the edge of my consciousness, and it drifted away. So it was really cool. Like I said, the art was pretty good. Oh, the confrontation that they have is with these police officers. So, it's a small town. White cop and black cop, Marshall and Nathan, I think, are hanging out on the train tracks after going to the bar, and Marshall's drunk and Nathan isn't. But then Marshall takes this stand against the cops, which I found to be really interesting. He makes a joke or a fib or whatever, that they're First Amendment auditors, and that the cops have no right to tell them to disperse from this place because they're peacefully assembling here. And the cops saying these are private tracks. Then Marshall counters with, like, hey, then the owner of these tracks should come and tell us to disperse from here. Not you. You have no authority here, basically. And Nathan turns to Marshall, and he, like, starts to say Marshall's name, like, what are you doing, Marshall? And he's like, hey, don't say my name. And, like, I don't know, like, he's either involved with shady stuff or he really cares about civil liberties and the Constitution, and I can't tell. I think it's one of those two extremes. It could be something in between, but that was pretty interesting that he was bringing that up, and that their conflict was with the cop. And then, like, one of the cops was, like, Marshall makes them promise that they're not going to arrest them, and one cop's like, no, we won't do that. That's extortion. You're extorting a police officer. That's blackmail or whatever. And the other cop, the black cop's like, dude, like, well, yeah, fine. Like, I don't do well with heights. which is a little jokey for my taste. Like, what would we even write up on the report charging them? Like, it wouldn't fly. So let's just promise him we're not going to do anything. He's going to let us go. It's a misunderstanding, and then that'll be it. And like, I don't know if that's supposed to seed something or if that's like supposed to be some sort of social commentary or whatever. But I mean, it feels legit to me. Those cops pulled up on them for no good reason. Obviously, like, Nathan wasn't trying to hurt them. It was just he thought something and the suit reacted or whatever to his thoughts, and that's how they got in that situation. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how things are handled, and like, does that get expanded upon, or was that a one-off thing? Was it more to be humorous or joking? Because then Nathan goes off on Marshall for, he could have gotten them killed by those cops. So I think that's how it goes. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Like, it's so rooted in like real world stuff, and it feels like it's supposed to be taking place like in a world like our own, except for this one special thing. So I don't know exactly how far they're gonna go, and at the same time, there seemed to be a respect for the police officers, like from the narrative, but maybe it was just like, hey, these guys are just trying to do their job. So I'm not sure where it shakes out. I'll be interested to see what exactly happens, again, at least in the second issue, and we'll see if I follow along with it, because I wasn't like grabbed by it. But maybe second issue will be like super cool and I'll really love it. So I'm going to recommend you read Ultraman first, and then if you really want more of Higgins writing and some Tokusatsu action-y hero stuff, then I guess come back to this. It's a very, very soft, tepid recommend, and I'd give it like a 3 out of 5, maybe a 2.5. No, I liked the like interpersonal stuff, and there just wasn't enough of the superhero-y things going on. So I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for your time and attention. Take care, folks. Be well, and I don't know. That's all I have to say.